Fortnite's Super Showdown live event had us witness the Mask Maker summon a large tentacle monster from the portal beneath Demon's domain. But shortly after the monster's defeat, another problem is now on the rise, that being the threat of a bug invasion on Oninoshima. With this season coming to a close, there are a couple of questions about the recent event and next season that I'd like to answer. So sit back, relax, and let's break down the Super Showdown live event. Just before we start, if you'd like to get caught up with the first half of Season 3's story, make sure to check out my video where I cover all of it. That said, let's begin with a recap of the final set of story quests this season. Part 3, Fall of Supernova Academy, followed a surprise attack on Supernova Academy that was orchestrated by Mask Maker Daigo. The Mask Maker's forces corrupted the surrounding area around the university and ransacked the entire building, forcing all the students to evacuate the academy immediately. Since the academy fell, the Supernova's morale was at an all-time low and they all felt incredibly lost. Shortly after, Morgan got in touch with us and had us set up scanners around the island to ensure the supernovas wouldn't get surprised like that ever again. Once that task was complete, we went to speak with Morgan. She told us that for the majority of her time at the academy, she was constantly focused on her own problems, but she came to the realization that she simply had to just let go of her problems if she wanted to become the leader Hope believed she could be. So Morgan focused all her attention to the rest of her team. In an effort to inspire them all again, we collected various mementos that would help lift up the supernova spirits. Morgan Mist also had us collect a couple spire remnants for her, which she used with her magic to create a monument dedicated to the now fallen academy. Morgan truly believed that the supernovas would bounce back despite what had happened to the academy and succeed in defeating Mask Maker Daigo, concluding the story quests for this season. While the supernovas prepared for their confrontation with Daigo, the Mask Maker continued to create more large spire monoliths and place them all over the island to drain the island's energy and anchor the spirit realm to Oninoshima. In the end, there were a total of 9 large spire monoliths on the island. Right before the battle with Daigo, Hope had 2 grim visions of the future. The first painting was of a dark tentacle wrapping itself around a spray can, and the second painting was of multiple terrifying bugs. But before she could figure out what any of it meant, the time had finally come for the Super Showdown. The event began with Mask Maker Daigo emerging from the bottom of the Demon's Domain dojo, and for the first time ever, we heard Daigo's voice.
The power of the mask is mine to wield. This is my destiny.
Using the power of the 4 spire monoliths surrounding the dojo, Mask Maker Daigo summoned the tentacle of a large monster from within the spirit realm. He bowed down and told it to serve the master.
Serve the master.
The creature took a quick look at him and then straight up smacked him. Daigo had served his purpose to the dark presence. Now the main threat was the tentacle. Fortunately, the supernovas were here to help us. They got into their 2 formations, Formation Tau, which consisted of Killswitch, Morgan Mist, and Light Rider, and Formation Theta, which consisted of Synthwave, Stormbeast, and Ziggy, and began to battle the monster. The team made quick work of the tentacle, with Morgan Mist delivering the final blow against it, forcing the tentacle to retreat. The battle seemed to be over, but suddenly the portal reopened again and 3 more tentacles emerged from it. The 3 tentacles began to start using what seemed to be some of the power of the Zero Shard to create an enormous energy ball to destroy us all. The battle was almost completely lost, but in the nick of time, we were saved by the one and only Superman, who sliced the main tentacle. Using his powers, Superman repelled the beast back into the spirit realm and destroyed the Spire monoliths, closing the portal for good. Despite Superman swooping in to save the day, his intervention wasn't without consequences. After splitting the main tentacle in half, the tentacle immediately began to decay and ooze out purple blood. This drew the attention of multiple insects, which start to get mutated by the tentacle's blood. In the epilogue quest following the event, Morgan misrevealed that the tentacles we saw were a part of an enormous monster that Mask Maker Daigo was trying to release on the island. I'm sure many of you are currently wondering though, was this Tentacle Monster the Dark Presence? I'm leaning more towards no, but it seems to honestly be up to interpretation at the moment. The reason I say this is because after summoning the tentacle, Daigo said, "Serve the master," while seemingly bowing down to the creature. Now he could have been talking to himself here, or he could have been telling the creature to serve the Dark Presence. Something I think is important to point out here though is that after Daigo bows and says "serve the master," his body suddenly goes limp, almost as if the Dark Presence left his body to control the tentacle, which then proceeded to smack Daigo out of the way. And by the way, if any of you are curious, Daigo was indeed set free from the control of the Dark Presence and is now back to normal. When you visit Hope after the battle and ask about her visions, she reveals that her sensations of the Dark Presence have grown weaker. This seems to be correlated to her previous vision of the tentacle before the big battle. Her own visions were warning her that the presence of the monster would weaken her sensations and visions of the Dark Presence, almost as if the Dark Presence doesn't want her to end up seeing who he truly is. Hope then continues by saying she has no idea what the Dark Presence is. All she knows is that it's waiting in the spirit realm and continuously growing more powerful. Hope ends the conversation by saying they'll need to face the Dark Presence eventually, but she's really unsure about whether they'll succeed in defeating it. With Hope's dialogue in mind, I believe that the monster we saw during the Super Showdown event was not the Dark Presence, but rather it was just controlled by him, just like Daigo was. I also personally doubt that Superman would be able to take out the Dark Presence that easily. That Tentacle Monster would have been obliterated by Superman if it didn't end up retreating back into the spirit realm. Before we move on from the Tentacle Monster, I wanted to point out something that I think is quite important. If you take a look at the overall design of the tentacle, you'll notice that it has storm swirls on it. The same storm swirls that can be seen on the Mist Monsters and the Storm King in Save the World. Meaning this could be suggesting that this creature is potentially from the Save the World reality, and maybe the writers are finally planning to connect Save the World to Fortnite's storyline. But we'll just have to wait and see, because for now, we need to deal with the incoming threat of the bugs. Based on all the teasers we've received so far, next season, the entire island will be swarmed with these mutated bugs, and to help us counter them, a new faction that goes by OXR will assist us. The X in OXR seems to mean extermination, given the fact that their logo is a lightning bolt striking down a bug. But what do the O and R stand for? I believe the O may stand for either the name of the bugs or the island of Oninoshima, and the R might stand for Rangers, since the OXR faction seems to be a military of some sort. That would then give us Oninoshima Extermination Rangers, or the name of the bugs, Extermination Rangers. Aside from the new faction, something interesting to note about these bugs is that they have actual chrome on their wings, and it's identical to the chrome we saw in Chapter 3, Season 4, Paradise. Now we know these bugs aren't from the last reality, but considering they were mutated by the tentacle's blood, perhaps the monster itself could be connected to the last reality. It's certainly interesting, and I'm very curious to see where the writers are going to take this. We've got quite a bit to look forward to next season now that we're beginning to near the end of Chapter 6. And that concludes my breakdown of the Super Showdown live event. If you'll be buying the Season 4 Battle Pass, consider using my code Rezztro in the item shop. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one, Lore Keepers.